Hi everyone. Today I would like to further discuss the Franz Kafka and the story. It's actually the story that I'm going to talk to you about. Maybe it's a short story. It's called Before the Law, and that story, as I said before, that story was used um, in a longer novel that is The Trial. But this short story, which is it's called Before the Law, and there's this old man, and I'm going to quickly summarize the story because the story is quite short. This old man comes in what's it called? Before this doorkeeper, and he wants to gain access to the law, and he makes many attempts. The gatekeeper tells him, "No, you cannot access the law." This man keeps trying, and he says, the doorkeeper says to him, "Even if I let you in, there's a even more powerful people that are inside. That you will not be able to get through." So the law is like this maze, and it's impossible to get in, to gain access to the law. Um, and towards the end of the story closes. The old man, now he's old. He's been waiting all this time in the story, and he waits so long to get into the law. And now he's really old, and he can't even get up to talk to doorkeeper again because he's standing by the door. And what happens is that the doorkeeper has to bend down and talk to the old man because now he can't even get up. And he says to him, the old man answers him. He says, "How come nobody else came to the access to ask access to the law?" And the doorkeeper answers and says, "Well, that's because this door is only made for you, and now I'm going to shut it." Which is which is kind of shocking end, because this whole time this man was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting to get in, and then at the end it's just the door is completely shut and he has no access to the law, which is an interesting story. It's kind of existential story, but at the same time it's nihilistic, because yes, we look at today the real society and we say we have the access to the law. If you need to buy a house, you most likely will need an attorney because the law is just so convoluted and all that. Or if you need to you get a ticket, you might need to get an attorney. Or so the general public does not get access to the law, and that means if you do not have access to the law, that means you do not have access to justice. Or the law itself is just it's the law, and we have the law, but then we have also the order. And it seems like in this story, the order takes precedence rather than the law. And why do I say that? Because at the end of the story, when the doorkeeper says, "Oh wow, you're not getting in. I don't know why you wasted your time waiting here before the gates of the law when you're not going to get in." So the story just reminds us that that little story Before the Law reminds us that in theory, and we can say in practice, technically, how much access we have to the law. We say we have rights and we have this, and then we have trial, and then you have all that stuff. But then at the end of the day, a lot of people end up getting prosecuted. They're innocent, and they have to plea bargain because they cannot access the law. What does it mean to access the law? To access the law means you will have an attorney who has the experience, who will give you a fair representation before the law, before the judges. But if you don't have that kind of money, then you're screwed. And this is what that little story is about. It's just how the order, not the law, that makes the law what it is. So it's like, if we have the law without force, of course, we cannot enforce the law. If the rules are just rules, but they cannot be enforced because there's no force behind it. So that means we have to have a certain force behind those laws, meaning either it's going to be a command or it's going to be a threat that you will face certain consequences if you break this law and if you don't break that law. So we have to have a force, but then when we have order without a law, which is, we say, the access before the law, well, here is these guards, they keeping the gates all locked, and these people do not have access, especially this old man. He's like, here he is, I am waiting forever and I have no access. And this could resonate with a lot of, especially African American communities, because they do not have access to the law, and especially minorities. So this story, I will continue to develop upon it in more different areas in the law, that we have these problems today as a society. But that's all for right now. We'll talk soon.